Hello and welcome to Lesson 8 of Level A2 with Perfectly Spoken. My name's Natalie and today we are going to do past simple. Now, basically Lesson 8 is past simple 1 and Lesson 9 is past simple 2. Okay, so have you got your notebook and your pen? Okay, now let's begin. Okay, so let's see the content of today's class. In this class, we will do past simple affirmative, regular verbs. Today we're talking about regular verbs, okay? We'll look at past simple spelling rules for regular verbs. We will look at past simple pronunciation of regular verbs. Basically, the pronunciation of regular verbs is very, very important because if you don't pronounce the verb correctly, maybe it's difficult to understand what you're saying, but we'll talk about that in the lesson, so don't worry. Okay, and we also look at past simple negatives and questions. You will have the opportunity to do some practice, okay, with me answering some questions. We'll also, as always, do a listening and then a little quick test at the end. And of course, for subscribers, they can do the online test after the lesson. Okay, so are you ready? Let's begin. So first of all, past simple. What is past simple? Why does it exist? Okay, well, it's when we're talking about a past action. So past action in like a past finished time. Have a look at this diagram here. So for example, here you've got now and then past action in past finished time. So examples of past finished time could be yesterday. You know the song? Yesterday, dun, dun. So yesterday, last night, last week, 6 months ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, last month, last summer, when I was 5 years old. So this is a time reference. Here we actually use the verb to be in the past. It's an irregular verb. Okay, today we're not going to specifically focus on that, but you will see some examples of it. And in lesson 9, we talk about lots of irregular verbs, okay? But for today, we're focusing on regular verbs, okay? So we've got in 1492, notice the date, we say 1492, not 1492, no, 1492, okay? And even this morning, now you see this morning, if now is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, for us, the morning has finished. So this morning is finished time, past finished time. We use past simple a lot in English, a lot for this reason, because when the time is finished, then that's it, okay? Right, so now we're going to look at some examples, okay? I'll show you some examples. So just relax, look at the examples and try to understand the sentences. Okay, you ready? Right, here we go. Last year, I travelled around Costa Rica. Yesterday, I walked 10 kilometres. In 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed to the Americas. He arrived late to class last week. We talked all night She watched TV on Saturday night. Right, so now let's have a look at the time expressions, the finished time expressions. We've got last year, yesterday, in 1492, last week, all night. We're talking about a past night, on Saturday night, okay? And now let's focus on the verbs, okay? What do you notice about the verbs? You've got travelled, walked, sailed, arrived, talked, watched, okay? So yes, all the verbs are the infinitive, but with, can you see this? With ed added, okay? You see, travel is the infinitive, travelled. Walk is the infinitive in past simple, walked. Right, can you see it? Walked. Sailed, sailed. Arrived, arrived. Talk, talked. Watch, watched. Okay, let's have a look at some more examples, okay? My father worked a lot last week. My teacher promised to help me. They played football for hours when they were children. I hated vegetables when I was a child. In 1985, they painted their house. Okay, so again, here are the past simple verbs. You've got worked, promised, played, hated, painted. Okay? So you can see that with the past regular verbs, it's very easy. You simply add ed to the end of the verb. So for example, if the verb is play, can you see that? If the verb is play, then past simple, you add ed to the end and it becomes played, okay? And the fantastic thing is that it's the same for all persons, okay? So, basically, the verb form doesn't change. It's I watched TV, my dad watched TV, he watched TV, they watched TV, all the children watched TV. So the verb form is the same for all persons, so that's quite good. Okay, there are, however, some considerations of past simple. So, for example, in regular verbs, here, you can see here in this table, you add ed, but there are some considerations when you're talking about spelling. So, for example, you've got watch. As I say, you just add the ed. Yeah. Watch, watched, play, played, talk, talked, work, worked. Live and arrive already have the e. They already have the e. So you just need to add the d. Okay, so it's lived, arrived. And sometimes you double the letter. So here, for example, stop. Now the verb stop is ends. You've got S, and then you've got consonant, T, O is a vowel, and P is a consonant. So you see here it says, I don't know if you can see, on here it says CVC, that's consonant, vowel, consonant, and then you double the letter. It's basically to help pronunciation, okay? So the stop, the O, to keep the O sound, we double the letter, stopped, okay? And then with study and worry, you notice with play, this one, we used as an example, the Y doesn't change. However, in the case that the verb ends like study with a consonant and a Y, in that case you change the Y to an I, okay? So for study becomes studied, worry becomes worried. Okay, so those are some things to consider about spelling, all right? But as I said, with past simple regular verbs, the significant thing is the pronunciation. Okay, so I just want you to pay attention just for a second and look at this. Okay, so we've got ed. Walked, talked, worked, watched, asked, promised. Okay, now all these verbs end in a sound with no voice. So walk, can you hear it has no voice? Walked, walked, talked, worked, watched, asked, promised. Okay, now in some languages there's no problem putting two consonant sounds together, no problem. But I know that in some Latin languages this is very difficult, so you might have to practice a little bit making this kind of sound with no voice. And then with arrive, it's a softer sound, okay, because arrive ends with a sound with a voice, okay, so it's arrived, studied, lived, played, sailed, loved. Okay, so it's a softer sound. And the third group is verbs that end with a T or a D in the infinitive, a T or a D sound. So for example, want. You can't say want, no, or need, no. So we do add a syllable in this case, okay, and we pronounce it id, okay, not ed, id, okay, so wanted, needed, hated, okay. Now, all that, maybe it's difficult to remember that, maybe it's too complicated, so just to simplify a little bit to make it kind of easier to remember, the most important thing is that for these verbs here, for these verbs in the blue box, you do not add an extra syllable. Okay, now if you add an extra syllable, then I don't understand. So for example, walk, the infinitive has one syllable, walk. The past simple has one syllable, it's walked. The same with arrive, it's two syllables, arrive, arrive. And the past simple has two syllables. It's not arrived, no, arrived. So even, for example, if you pronounce everything with t, like walked, arrived, it's okay. The important thing is do not add a syllable, okay? So it's walk, walked, talk, talked, work, worked, watch, watched, ask, asked, promise, promised, okay? And the other ones, the t, d ones, wanted, needed, hated, you do add an extra syllable. So really, my personal advice is remember, don't add an extra syllable, okay? All right, so I think it's maybe this pronunciation is very easy for you, but maybe it's not. You need to practice, 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 okay? It's very important. All right, so let's have a look now. This is what I was saying before, okay? It's easy. It is easy. Okay, the past simple form is the same for all persons. So I travelled to France, he travelled to France, she travelled to France, we travelled to France, they travelled to France, everyone in the world travelled to France. I use France because I really love France. I love cheese. Okay, so just notice that the verb form is the same for all persons, okay, all people. All right, so negative. Okay, now we're going to have a look at the negative. Let's see what you remember. Okay, so first of all, this is present simple. I travel a lot. What's the negative? I travel a lot. I don't travel a lot. Yes, very good. So in past, it's I travelled a lot. And in past simple negative, you take the auxiliary verb and you make it the past. So the past of do is did. So it's I didn't travel a lot. Okay? So let's look at this example. So for example, you've got, do you remember this verb play? Played in the past. Can you see that? Played. Now, when we make a negative or a question, we use an auxiliary verb. Here I have my green auxiliary verb. Now you just have to remember, when you have an auxiliary verb, the conjugation of this, you don't need it because this is the infinitive, okay? So that is the reason that in past simple negative, you don't have an ending on the verb, okay? All right, so have a look here. Oh, so here you can see, yeah, here you've got the infinitive. I travel a lot, I don't travel a lot. I travelled a lot, I didn't travel a lot. Okay, so you use the infinitive. Okay, let's have a look at some examples. I didn't work yesterday. You didn't work yesterday. He didn't work yesterday. She didn't work yesterday. We didn't work yesterday. They didn't work yesterday. So it's very easy. It's very, very easy because basically, again, for all persons, I, you, we, they, it's the same. It's the same. Okay, so let's have a look. You see? It's really easy. Just have to remember, but it's easy. Okay, so let's have a look. And you can see here you've got the infinitive form of the verb. All right, that's the one in red or in yellow in this case. Okay, all right. So now, what are we going to do now? We're going to look at affirmative. We've looked, hear the past simple there. We've looked at negatives. So now we're going to look at questions. Okay. So again, you've got in present simple, you walk to work. Do you walk to work? So you've got here, the red is the infinitive. In past simple, you walked to work. What's the question? What's the question? Yes. Did you walk to work? So you just changed the auxiliary verb do into the past did. Okay. And again, it's easy because it's the same for all persons, okay? So it's did you walk to work, did he walk to work, did she walk to work, did they walk to work? You just have to remember to use the auxiliary verb because in my experience, a lot of students when they're talking, they just forget. They say, no, I know work yesterday. Instead of I didn't work yesterday. Or no, you walk to work. And no. So try to remember when you're talking to focus on using the auxiliary verb. Because I know it's easy here, but then when you're talking or writing, it's different. Okay, so imagine you say, did you walk to work? What are the two possible short answers? Okay, you've got sorry, I've disappeared. You've got, yes, I did. Oh, no, I didn't. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. So again, you use the auxiliary verb for the short answers. Okay, the auxiliary verb. All right. Okay, now I want you just to read the questions, think of the answers. Okay, you think of your answers. Maybe you could write the answers. Maybe you could just think the answers. Okay, so here we go. All right, so we've got, did you work yesterday? What time did you arrive home yesterday? Where did you play football last week? Who did you talk to yesterday? Who did you visit in the summer? And did you hate vegetables when you were a child? Notice we've got the were here, the were, which is past simple of the verb to be. In the next class we talk about that. Okay, so did you hate vegetables when you were a child? Just take a minute and think of the answers. Okay, now I'm going to give you some example answers. So I will answer the questions for me. Okay, so for example, did you work yesterday? So yesterday was Tuesday. Yes, I did. I did, yes. I worked from 8 o'clock in the morning until, I think until 4 o'clock. Okay, and what time did you arrive home yesterday? Yesterday, I arrived home at about 5 o'clock. Where did you play football last week? I didn't play football last week. I don't like football. I don't like sport, really. No. Okay, who did you talk to yesterday? Oof. I talked to a lot of people, because I talked to my students at the university. I talked to my students in a hospital. I talked to my children. I talked to my friends. I talked to my mum on the phone. I talked to some parents at the school. I talked to, I think that's it, yes. Okay, and who did you visit in the summer? I visited my family in England in July, and in August I visited my friend Kate in Costa Rica. It's fantastic. Okay, and did you hate vegetables when you were a child? No, I didn't. I liked vegetables. Yeah, I liked vegetables. I liked vegetables when I was a child, and I like vegetables now. Okay, so I hope you can answer these questions and remember the pronunciation. Right, now for this section, now I just want you to listen and relax. Okay, just listen and relax. So I will give you a little text. It's talking about when I was 20. It's true, because remember, it's always better to practice using information that is true for you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about a trip that happened when I was 20. Okay, so when I was 20, a long, long time ago, I travelled around Europe by train. I travelled with my friend Jilly. We visited 10 cities in 4 weeks. I liked travelling around. We talked to a lot of different people and we tried lots of different types of food. I think my favourite was Italian food, but we tried lots of different types of food. We watched sunsets, we walked around city centres, we danced, we sailed, just for one day, but we sailed and we enjoyed visiting lots of different places. We travelled by train and by bus. It was a fantastic experience. Oh, it's fantastic. Okay, so how much did you understand? Let's have a look at the text. Okay, so now I will read the text. Just read and listen and focus on the pronunciation. When I was 20, a long time ago, I travelled around Europe by train. I travelled with my friend Jilly. We visited 10 cities in 4 weeks. I liked travelling around. We talked to a lot of different people and we tried lots of different types of food. We watched sunsets, we walked around city centres, we danced, we sailed, and we enjoyed visiting lots of different places. We travelled by train and by bus. It was a fantastic experience. Okay, so I hope that you could follow that. Remember, you can pause the video and read it and compare your pronunciation. It's good practice to help your pronunciation, help your speaking skills too, okay, and to focus specifically on a bit of language. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the text again, and I just want you to notice the past simple verbs, okay? Okay, so here are the past simple verbs. You've got the first one is was. Remember that I said here that was is a verb to be. It's an irregular verb. But then we've got lots of examples of regular verbs. Okay, so we've got travelled, visited, liked, talked, tried, watched, walked, danced, sailed, enjoyed, travelled. And again, another example of past simple of the verb to be. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is a little exercise for you. So I'll put it on the screen. Just write down in your notebooks, just write down the verb in the correct form, okay? Are you ready? Have you got your notebook and your pen? Okay, here we are. So, all right. Okay, in number 4, fried ants. Ants. Oh, look. Hello. This is an ant. Can you see that? Yes, it's an insect. And in Mexico, they eat fried ants. Delicious. Okay. All right, so let's have a look at the answers. My father travelled a lot when he was young. Last night we didn't arrive home until 9:30. Yesterday I worked until 8:30. When I was in Mexico, I tried fried ants. Tried fried ants. I tried fried ants. Ooh, try saying that. It's difficult. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do another one. So again, you need your paper and pen, or notebook and pen. Are you ready? Okay, are you ready for the answers? So, number one, I played football on Saturday and Sunday. We danced until 4 o'clock in the morning. We studied German and French at school. And we didn't study Latin or Greek at school. Okay, so well done. We are nearly at the end of the lesson. Just a little bit more work for you to do. Okay, so now let's have a look. Okay, so in this bit, I want you to see if you can find the mistakes. Okay, I'm going to tell you a sentence, and I want you to think, is it correct or incorrect? And if it's incorrect, what's correct? Okay, all right, so correct the errors. You arrived late. It's a question. Yes, you're right. It's not you arrived late. It's did you arrive late? Did you arrive late? Okay, next one. He not talked to me at the party. He not talked to me at the party. Is that correct? No. No, it's not. It should be, he didn't talk to me at the party. He didn't talk to me at the party. Okay, number 3. What time you finished work? It's a question. What time you finished work? Okay, so yes, it's incorrect. It should be, what time did you finish work? What time did you finish work? Okay, here we are. And here were the sentences. The black ones are incorrect and the green ones are correct. Okay, so these are mistakes that I hear people making a lot when they're speaking. Writing, not so much, but when they're speaking, yes. So pay attention. When you're speaking, you really need to pay attention, focus on accuracy. Okay, all right. Now, so that was a very interesting class, I hope. And remember, this is past simple 1, and in lesson 9 we will do past simple 2 irregular verbs. Okay, because we have a lot of irregular verbs in English. It's not difficult, it's just you have to remember them. So we will talk about irregular verbs in lesson 9. But first of all, what did we cover in this class? We did past simple affirmative regular verbs. We looked at past simple spelling rules for regular verbs. We looked at past simple pronunciation of regular verbs. And we looked at past simple negatives and questions. All right, so I hope you found this lesson useful. Don't forget, if you subscribe, you can see the test at the end of the lesson. So goodbye. See you in lesson 9. Say bye-bye. Bye. Bye.